afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast. Lehr with me, your host, Imperial Dane, the one, the only master of instruction. Today's topic is going to be the mighty StuG 3 Ausführung G, or Model G, assault gun available to the Wehrmacht from their support armor corps at currently 300 manpower. I think it's 280. I think it's 280 actually, and 90 fuel. Just need to check. It has had some slightly varying prices during its lifespan so far in companies too. It is a, as the name suggests, assault gun, though certainly this configuration is more suited towards dealing with armor, but even then it can deal with infantry. Remember to upgrade the machine gun or get lucky with some of its shots. Overall, though, the StuG 3G is probably one of your best assets currently as the Wehrmacht for dealing with armor, though generally you want always more than one StuG. In fact, you usually want a pair of StuGs working together in tandem for a couple of reasons. In fact, this is probably one of the first rules you need to apply when it comes to StuG. Always work them in pairs or at least larger groups. Never operate a StuG on its own. One of the reasons why I want StuGs to work together is because that way if they try to outflank your StuGs, you can quickly just split them up, have one StuG cover the other one, whatever they want to try to maneuver, and then focus it down, as the other StuG just tries to keep avoiding getting blown to bits. So that, for example, there's already just one way to ensure your StuGs have a longer and more fulfilling life experience in your army, but also, very crucially, it just gives you more firepower. I mean, two pair of StuGs can quickly go through most allied medium armor, just 2 volleys. That's a Sherman dead, T-34 dead, Centaur dead, you name it. Like some of the more premium mediums, of course, can take a few more hits, but even then, allied armor will quickly go down, and this is one of the primary reasons why the StuG is good, and the Panther, for example, is not very good at the moment. It's basically a matter of basic math and basic firepower. Currently, as the Wehrmacht again, you need all the firepower you can get, and that's basically your best option. That's the StuG 3G when it comes to dealing with allied armor. So if you're having issues with allied armor, go for a pair of StuGs, really. That's going to be in most cases your best bet. Always also good ideas to upgrade the machine gun. I know some people don't like them because they'll give away the StuG at times, but honestly, it's basically the LMG-42 on the Grenadiers, except on the StuG and at 30 munitions, I think, with a bit better range. Get a pair of StuGs out with pit-em-up machine guns. Again, they can lay down some decent anti-infantry firepower just to help, support your own infantry versus enemy infantry, just help clear out some things there. So if you sort of keep those things in mind, you can over there find yourself doing reasonably better with the StuGs. Additionally, also worth keeping in mind, of course, is anti-tank as one of its major issues, so keep them away from anti-tank guns. At least have infantry supporting nearby, like Panzer Grenadiers or Stormtroopers, to quickly clear out those anti-tank guns and clear the path for your StuGs. Failing that, a mortar to smoke the area where the StuG or the anti-tank guns is into, thusly again allow the StuGs more free passage, is also a good idea. So that's already there, some of the elements of the StuG. Also worth keeping in mind is you have some veteranship bits there. Veteran 3 is pretty much just where the StuG actually gets really good. Veteran 2 effectively doesn't do a lot. It gets some slight bonus. The problem is, like, Veteran 2 only makes it slightly more likely to bounce medium tank shots, so even then they're going to penetrate most of the time, so it's a slight improvement. The rate of fire bonus most of the time won't be noticeable. Again, it's Veteran 3 which gets a good rate of fire bonus, and mobility where it really gets good, and then have 2 Veteran 3 StuGs. You can quickly tear through most allied armor, to be honest. You got target weak point, or heat shell as it now is called. It's okay. Honestly, it's mostly used for defensive operations. I feel like to get your StuGs out of there, like they suddenly get completely thrown off. But honestly, the problem with this is, A, the ability actually isn't reliable. Sometimes the allied tank in question can still shoot, meaning, again, it's not reliable, but also very crucially, it only does 80 damage. And you might, again, sort of, well, what's the problem with that? Well, if you sort of remember, why do we go for the StuGs in the first place, besides, the absolutely sexy, sleek exterior? It's because, again, they pack a lot of firepower. The heat shell, again, has less firepower, so you effectively increase the amount of time you have to take out an allied tank. In the end, they can still move. It doesn't slow them down in any way, so, I mean, while it does prevent them from maybe shooting at you, again, it's not killing them. And again, that kind of actually lowers the overall value of the heat shell by a lot, because, again, like, whereas, again, say, take a Sherman, okay, you got 2 StuGs firing it. If you pop heat shells on it, you actually suddenly have to fire 5 shots at it to, like, actually destroy it. Also, don't do this. Obviously, in this case, there were some expectations of pathing that didn't quite pull through, and I get lucky here, but basically, again, it takes 5 shots, whereas, again, you just don't fire the heat shell. 4 shots. Again, like, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time expediently putting allied armor out of the, the equation. And in that regard, heat shield just isn't very good. I mean, anything that lowers the actual fire damage output of these StuGs isn't very good in that sense. So, honestly, I don't like using the heat shield a lot because, again, it means I have to spend more time destroying the allied armor when I really just want it to explode as fast as possible. So that's sort of one of the things I would say that just makes the ability really awkward at the moment with the StuG. I mean, why would I want to do less damage? Sure, they might not be able to fire at me, and sure, I can penetrate more armor, but if it doesn't die faster, what's the point? So that's effectively another element there to keep in mind when it comes to the StuG 3G. You know, the heat shell isn't that amazing, and there are some circumstances again where it can be good. Like for example, you have to get your StuG out there to prevent them from pursuing. The heat shell is great there to just prevent them from just being able to knock out your StuG while you're trying to get it out of there. And I think that's primarily the purpose of it at the moment. But again, offensively, the utility of it, I think, is very limited. Maybe if you have like a high priority target, you just want to briefly keep out of the fighting while then sort of tear down other armor. That's where it can be used. But sort of in a general usage, it's just not that good, and generally I'd recommend staying away from it except for those, I would say, two circumstances. Otherwise, keep some infantry nearby so they can always support it, spot for the StuG and all that. Generally, again, you want your StuGs to maximize firepower, and sometimes, don't be afraid to play aggressive with your StuGs. If you've got good flank, and suddenly them charging in can catch your opponents off guard, get off some shots, and quickly tear out some allied armor, and then you just sort of quickly dry away. The StuGs do have some decent speed, and eventually, again, they do become speedier. So while the StuGs, in that sense, necessarily aren't like, the best charger units in that sense, they can still catch your opponent off guard if well handled. So overall, I mean, keeping those things in mind, you will usually find yourself getting some good value out of your StuG. You'll be giving allied armor a much harder time than you normally otherwise would, and if you give the allies armor a hard time, you're giving yourself a much better time. So, and if, again, you do that, you're more likely to win in my personal experience. Of course, again, the StuG can't take a lot of hits compared with medium armor. Again, that's also one of the reasons why, again, you want to keep it out of anti-tank guns ways. Because, again, they will quickly tear it apart. In particular, American anti-tank guns with a high rate of fire are a particular problem for the StuG 3G, since, again, they can much more quickly take it out. So, you got to keep that in mind. And obviously, don't make trade-offs in this that are, like, really good. I mean, taking out a center for StuG, for example, is pretty good. And that, I suppose, is also another advantage of the StuG. It is sort of relatively low cost for the Wehrmacht, so like you have to like trade one away for an allied tank. It's usually not too bad. Of course, you don't want to be, say, throwing away a Veterinary 2 or even Veterinary 3 StuG. Usually, again, even like Veterinary 2 isn't good, it just means you're closer to Veterinary 3. And really, when it comes to the StuG, Veterinary 3 is the only level of Veterinary that really matters. The only other two Veterinary levels, they're basically just stepping stones towards Veterinary 3. Because again, a Veterinary 3 StuG is really good because, again, it shoots a lot and it moves fast. It still can't take a lot of hits, but it can absolutely deal them out. So if you can somehow find yourself in a position with two Veterinary 3 StuGs, you're in a really good spot. So well, I think that sort of, shall we say, covers the StuG 3G. Work them together in groups, or at least with other armor, so they're never on their own. Or at least keep some infantry nearby. In fact, always keep infantry nearby. In fact, that's what Good Daring himself would recommend. But again, if you can, get a pair of them, since again, you really want a lot of firepower when it comes to the StuGs and dealing with allied armor. Remember to upgrade the machine guns. Use target weak point only to, get out of a bad situation, or quickly keep a particular big target out of the fighting while you focus everything else down. Remember, anti-tank guns are their primary threat, and always look for a way to deal with the anti-tank guns so they don't easily just shoot your StuGs to bits, because otherwise you're going to get very, very sad. But if you keep that in mind, again, the StuG is a very potent vehicle. It's recently, maneuverable, has a good rate of fire. Again, it's really the good rate of fire that really does a lot. Its machine gun is pretty nice. And again, they're pretty cost effective, which is really one of the best things right now the Wehrmacht has got going for it, to be honest, because again, Tier 4 isn't good, as I mentioned in other videos, and the StuGs really will do a lot of your anti-tank work for you. Definitely not the Panther. So there you go. Hopefully this will clear a bit in better to the StuG, how to get the most out of it, how to survive the most with, and of course get it to that juicy Veterinary 3 and really begin making your allied opponents cry. So if you like this video, please feel free to like, subscribe and share, and press the bell button. And of course, if you'd like to do, you can also donate or pledge on Patreon. Every dollar allows me to keep doing this day after day, so do consider. This is Imperial saying cheers, and see you all another time for another video. Cheers.